Good news, everyone! Regular reviews are back. Bad news, I'm doing it on a crummy microphone. So, anyway, we're here with Spidergirl, issue number 7, and we will be doing other comics besides Spidergirl. I just have this review rotation that kept getting interrupted, and I'm kind of OCD. So, yeah, we'll be following this up with something else next. And here she is against Nova, which... he apparently didn't age out. You may have found a way to defeat Dark Devil, young Missy, but you'll never beat the man called Nova. Young Missy? What a jerk. Bonus feature, The Last Days of Spider-Man. Even with your amazing spider-like speed, you barely managed to dodge the flaming missile. But that's the least of your current problems. Stan Lee presents Secrets! Was Stan Lee even still working at Marvel actively at this point? A lot of the comics here say Stan Lee presents, but he wasn't the editor at the time. I just find it odd. It would be like crediting... once Walt Disney stopped effectively producing things, you don't see his credit as a producer, even though the company is named after him. With Disney stuff. Much of the impressive little girl, you're still a trifle too tentative and move with all the grace of an arthritic rhino, but you've obviously been practicing. As much as I live for your approval, I really don't have time for this nonsense. An innocent boy's life could be at stake. Be at ease, faithful reader. This may look like the middle of a story, but we promise to fill in the necessary details as we rock it along. There's a little something called a flash forward. So yeah, May is fighting Dark Devil again because, well, Dark Devil is Dark Devil. She goes back and basically she's still fighting with her dad to Peter over being Spider-Girl. She doesn't have her costume right now. Meanwhile, at school, and Jimmy finally makes the move she's been dreading and asks her out to a dance, but she turns him down. And Moose chooses that moment to rag on Jimmy. They challenge each other for a fight. May is improving as she trains with Ben Urich, and yeah. She tries to talk Jimmy out of it, but Jimmy won't be talked out of it. Yeah. And May is conflicted over the number of secrets she's keeping, of course. And she puts on her costume to try and make it across town to the park where the fight's going to get when she runs into Dark Devil. She then, uncharacteristically, is able to knock him out. But then Nova shows up. Turns out he was patrolling, and he's a friend of Dark Devil, so when he sees some hoodlum in a black mask attacking Dark Devil, he assumes there's problems. She tries to block him with a bunch of bricks, but that works about as well as you would expect. Fine. How do you feel about girls with proportional strength and agility of a spider? You for or against? What are you doing? Me? I'm just playing peekaboo with a certain human rocket. It'll be fun until someone loses an eye, a head, or a skyscraper. Yeah. So, in the fight, Jimmy actually just comes out punching Moose wasn't expecting it, and he gets in a lucky punch on Moose's windpipe, which is not a good place to be punched. Meanwhile, May is still jumping around trying to get away, and she manages to get away from Nova, who goes across town. But then, is it just me, or do you also find the lad a tad or do you just find the lad a tad egocentric? You did this on purpose. You must have spotted him flying above us and deliberately provoked a confrontation. Don't blame me. I'm not the one dressed like a thief. Perhaps Nova would have been more open-minded if he'd recognized you. So, the lesson for all crooks working in New York City is if you don't want to attract the attention of superheroes, just buy a Spider-Man costume and dress in that. That'll keep the heroes off of you. For good. You're saying this was my fault? You can't be a part-time superhero, little girl. It's all or nothing. Stop equivocating and make a decision before someone gets hurt. He leaves with a taunting laugh. His words continue to haunt you, even as you renew your race to the park. And beyond the park. Brad, Devia. I just heard about Moose. How is he? The doctors want to keep him for a few days, but they think he'll be fine. It was real close. We could have lost him if the ambulance hadn't arrived when it did. It's my fault things got so far out of hand. I should have known better. It was an accident, Jimmy. You mustn't blame yourself. You didn't mean to hurt anyone. That's why you were punching at people, because you didn't mean to hurt them. So as you can see, May is conflicted about all this. She's got the typical Parker luck of having to be 300 different places at once. Yes, little girl, it's time for you to make a decision, even though someone's already gotten hurt. Why do you even hesitate? Based on the sense of responsibility your parents installed in you, there is only one choice. After all, your name is Mayday Parker, and you are the once and future Spider-Girl. The end. For now. But we have a bonus story here. Stan Lee proudly presents a very special turning point in the life of a stunning Spider-Girl. And this is what helps make it not just another issue, although the punch to Moose's throat will come into play later. You thought you were being so clever, waiting until the house was apparently deserted before surreptitiously slipping into the attic. Not quite. Looking for anything special, Hotshot? Mom? Yeah, you were so clever. How many people would think of waiting until people have left the house to go looking through the house for something that they don't want them to know they are looking for? Only the greatest tactical geniuses of our time, I tell you, I tell you, they're the only ones who would come up with an idea that clever. Your name is Mayday Parker, and you are the daughter of the original Spider-Man. Upon learning that you were attempting to follow in his web steps, your dad took your costume away. However, recent events have convinced you that you have a responsibility to resume the mantle of Spider-Girl. I thought you were headed to the grocery store. Funny about that. I was backing the car out when I suddenly realized you forgot to tell me what you wanted for dessert tonight. Odd behavior for a girl with such a sweet tooth. This isn't what it looks like. You mean you aren't searching your father's trunk in the hopes of finding an old costume or spare web shooters? Okay, it is what it looks like. Just don't get it, do you? You really have no idea why he is so opposed to you being Spider-Girl. If I'm missing some big picture, it's only because he never bothered to explain his reasons to me. Thank you! I'm not surprised. Your father has never been big on sharing his fears. His parents died while he was still a child, and he was sent to live with his Uncle Ben and Aunt May. They doted on him, maybe a little too much. But, well, They weren't exactly rolling in money. When Peter became Spider-Man, he saw it as his shot for fame and riches. Golden opportunity to repay his aunt and uncle for all their kindness and generosity. But while he was out showboating, a burglar murdered Uncle Ben. And that's when Peter first realized that he should use his powers to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. It was an awesome responsibility. I can't tell you how many times it overwhelmed him, and he tried to walk away from it. Dad kept quitting? Almost seemed like an annual event. Yeah. Tell me this isn't Tom DeFalco getting tired of writing that same story over and over and just lashing out at editorial for mandating that there has to be a Peter Parker quits being Spider-Man story every year or two. I'm sick of reading it. He's obviously sick of writing it. So let's call these things off. So she tells it that Peter, but every time Peter tried to quit, there seemed to be some super menace. When we first discovered I was pregnant with you, we both believed that his new duties as a parent would take precedent over his spider thing. No such luck. I knew he hated leaving us, but he always did. At least until his final battle with Norman Osborn, the original Green Goblin. That monster hated your father and wanted to destroy everything he cherished. I don't want to go into details because they no longer matter. But it was the most horrific fight of Peter's life. I'll never forget that awful night. This is great backstory. Spider-Girl really needs a TV show. I mean, this is great backstory for a TV show that you go into. It's perfectly put together for that. Johnny Storm, your father's closest friend in the superhero community, was the one who made the call that I always knew would come. Is he? No, he'll make it, but we'd better explain. We kept his face masked to conceal his identity. It was touch and go for a while. The surgeons believe they repaired most of the damage, but they couldn't save his right leg. You mustn't give up hope. I believe we can design a replacement that will make you stronger, faster, more powerful than ever. It'll only cost $6 million. You'll be back wall crawling before you know it. That's great. Just great. But Spider-Man was the last thing on your father's mind. Come on, one more set of exercises before we break for lunch. I want to take a little time to relax. No, I've had enough. I want to take a little time to relax and concentrate on the important things in life. A few days later, Peter had made a crucial decision. Reed Richard called me at work. Said you told him to stop working on the bionic leg. What's going on, Peter? I think I'm finally growing up. The accident made me take a fresh look at myself, and I wasn't particularly happy with what I saw. It's high time I put away the toys of my youth and assumed my real responsibilities. He gave up because of me, and now he expects me to return the favor? Something like that. It's not fair. I agree. Your father's always followed his heart, guided by a sense of responsibility, as hard as it is for us to accept the fact that our baby has grown. It's time for better or worse, we backed off. There are some decisions that you have to make for yourself, young lady. We raised you the best we could. Now we have to trust you to do the right thing. The end, for now. Yes! And with that, part of this plot arc finally comes to a close in issue 7. And that elevates this whole issue. What could have been just a standard, Jimmy Yuma's punch, showing some consequences for May being pulled in more than one direction, and this elevate what would have been just a standard issue. So, I give this issue a 7.5 out of 10. It would have just been another below average hero fighting hero issue, but that elevates it, and this is really a well worth tracking down and reading, especially for the last story there. Well, thanks for listening. See you next time.